Most successful people, what they say is do the boring thing long enough and you'll be successful. But most people won't do the boring thing long enough.
Tanner, I got a question. What key cornerstone habits do you think we miss in both business and in life that would radically change how we operate from a family dynamics or even a business and growing the business standpoint?
I think there's a lot of habits that I definitely don't keep up with, whether it's going to the gym or reading my Bible every day or all the things that we've talked about on this podcast that I've tried to implement that I just struggle to make routine. So I don't think that there's any one thing that is a blanket across all businesses that someone should be doing. But I think in each individual story, there is core habits that people know they should be doing, but they don't. Mm-hmm. And it's like when, if you're digging a hole, if you just keep digging in the same spot, you're going to dig pretty deep. But people tend to jump around and then they wind up digging wide. And I think that's how people attack problem solving, is the shiny object of just, oh, if I try this and then I try this and then I try this. But really, the most successful people, what they say is do the boring thing long enough and you'll be successful. But most people won't do the boring thing long enough.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. So I don't know if you ever read the book Miracle Morning. Mm-hmm. I know you're not a morning person.
No, Miracle Afternoon.
But in it, and I don't know if it's in the book or if I just heard how Elrod speak separately from this, mm-hmm. but he talks about how when he was researching the book, and he came up with those 5, I'll call cornerstone habits. They weren't cornerstone habits because cornerstone would mean one, if you will, but or imply one. He said, when researching it, these 5 habits, like most people do, or a good portion of millionaires do this and this and this and this. So I'm just going to take it all and just make the Miracle Morning. And that's how he started in it. But to your point, it wasn't one thing. Like he went out researching what is the one thing, and there was no one thing. So he made the Miracle Morning with 5 things. What's it, savers? So it's maybe 6 things, but yeah. So it's
and that's from a large data set. Like he's talking about interviewing dozens, if not hundreds, of successful entrepreneurs and seeing the commonalities of what do the majority of these people do. Now, we know about the 80-20 rule. There's always going to be exceptions to the rule. And I used to fight this fight all the time when people would say, oh, I'm up at 4 a.m. every morning. You watch all these, motivation hype videos, like I'm up at 4 a.m. in the gym and all this stuff. And like, yeah, okay, but you're in bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock every day. Like when you're going to bed, I'm just starting my best work. Like I started, maybe my day doesn't get started till 10 o'clock, but then I get through the normal work day and then dinner, and then I get started with my underwriting. And then I would underwrite from 8 o'clock at night till 3, 4 in the morning. And so I'm getting 5-6 hours of sleep, which also is not good. But if I'm getting the same 18-hour workday in and you start yours at 4 a.m. and I start mine at 10 a.m., we're still working the same amount of hours. So I never understood why people believe that you're so much more successful if you get up early.
I think it has to do with, so if you wake up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., whatever time, and you could take care of your Miracle Morning, if you're getting your gratitude in, if you're journaling, if you're planning your day, all that stuff, by the time 7 o'clock rolls around, 8 o'clock rolls around, everybody else is trickling into the office.
And you've already gotten
everything done. Versus if you wake up at 10 o'clock and then you try to do that, now you're at 12 o'clock. The day's already gone. Like people you're working with are transitioning, going home, potentially, you have a lot less time on task with your team. So as an individual entrepreneur, no team, I see what you're saying. But when you start building a team and factoring in team and team dynamics and all that, I think that's where it loses.
I completely agree with that. And I think that when you can get a lot of work done, even personal work, like work on the personal and the mindset side before the workday even starts, then that's extremely powerful. And my argument, like you said, is more for a solo entrepreneur. But even with a team, like if I have my days planned a day prior, like for trucking routes, if I have it all planned the day prior, nothing happens between 6 and 10 a.m. that I can't handle between 10 and noon. And
I agree
so,
with that.
and that's my reason bringing that up is just do what works for you. Don't listen to hype and feel like a failure because you're not doing it the way everyone else does. Now, there are times where, like, if I'm driving and I'm out on the road, then yeah, I need to be up at 6 in the morning. Like when I was working for a guy where all of his loads were picked up at 7:38 in the morning. So yeah, I got to be out to my truck by 6 in the morning, doing my inspections and everything and already ready to go. I can't wake up at 10 because then I'm 2.5 hours late. So I do think that you need to fit your schedule to what works for you. And also, we have 7 kids. So our 7 kids do not get to bed at 8 o'clock at night. Like they are up till 11, 12 o'clock, which means that we're not even settling down for the night until midnight. So I think you need to customize your habit stacking with your schedule.
Yeah, I think it all comes back to your business profile too. Are you a truck driver, solopreneur?
Mm-hmm.
Are you running a large company?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you somewhere in the middle? Because I think both at the lower echelon, so solopreneur, and the upper echelon, your time's a lot more flexible because things are on your time. But if you're in that middle tier, if you're not a solopreneur and you're building a team and you're trying to get to that upper echelon, I think that's where the discipline is a lot more important. Because I've seen CEOs like say, I don't go in the office till 10, 11 o'clock, the large companies, but that's because they said nothing bad has happened in the day yet that requires my attention.
Yeah.
So,
well, and look at your plumbing company or, like you said, the middle of the road trucking company. Most of the problems pop up in the morning or in the evening. It's that middle ground that it probably doesn't need most of your attention. So you need to be there from 6 to 8 o'clock to nip things in the bud. And then at the end of the workday. And for like when I was working for a company where we were local, so all the trucks were on the road by 7:30 and they're all back by 6 o'clock at night. So the 2 times where the most problems happen is that morning and that afternoon period. So you need to be up and as the responsible party, you need to be involved with everything in between. So I agree is that your schedule needs to be custom to your industry.
So do you think when we talk about these habits that people are looking for basically a hack more than a habit? They're looking for that one thing that's going to take me from zero to hero overnight.
Yeah, and I heard an Alex Hormozy post yesterday, and he said that everyone is looking for a shortcut. He's like, but the long way is the shortcut because the shortcut doesn't get you there. Mm-hmm. And everyone wants this quick fix. They want the I want a 6-pack abs without having to work out, and so they get those muscle toners and all that stuff, and it never gets you there. So it's a shortcut, but a shortcut that doesn't work. And so Alex Hormozy preaches, do the hard thing long enough, the boring thing long enough, and it will pay off because the shortcut doesn't work.
Yeah, I've seen he's doubled down on a lot of this boring stuff. Mm-hmm. He's changed his content up quite a bit, the way he presents and stuff, but that's just...
Well, and Cody Sanchez too. I mean, her whole business is built on boring businesses. And now we know getting into these industries, there's nothing boring about it. Like there's always something, like always putting out fires and always solving problems, but boring business in the fact that it's not some sexy tech startup. Mm-hmm. Like it is an industry that's been around for a long time, and it will be around a lot longer after we, expire. So
yeah, you're probably not that it's impossible, but you're probably not going to be a billionaire owning a trucking company. Now there's billionaire trucking executives around. I'm not trying to say there is an
exception to the rule.
Yeah. Maybe there's a billionaire plumber out there, HVAC, electrical. I'm sure in the commercial, larger space there probably is. Yeah. But your average person isn't going to do that. Versus, I would say your average person isn't even going to do it in tech.
Well, but the difference is that I feel like the mindset around tech is a lot more like
it's home run.
Crypto. Yeah. Like you might lose 99 of them, but one of them might pop off. Like we will never buy one of these types of blue collar industry businesses and buy it on a 3x EBITDA and then sell it for a 10x. Like it's not going to happen. And if it does, then great. I'd love to be wrong here. And, we'll look back at this video years and laugh, but more than likely it's not going to happen because the industry just isn't structured that way. But the tech companies, you can build that from scratch, and a lot of them do sell for 10x EBITDA. And I've got 2 clients right now who made a lot of money selling tech companies and SaaS companies and those. So that's the hot, sexy industry. But it's risk. It's a lot of risk, and I don't have the tolerance for that. I don't have the understanding of it. So I'd rather stick to what I know, which is building systems around a proven process and finding a way to trim the fat. Like, I'm not expanding this business 500%. I'm trimming off 15, 20% of the fat just to make a little bit more cash flow that sustains my lifestyle.
So what unsexy habits are you doing right now that helps you do that?
I definitely have some conviction because of all the things that, like, since January, said that I'm going to be doing every day, exercise daily. And
I'm talking about specifically to
the business.
To the business. Specifically to the business in the last, whatever it's been, 30, 45 days since you've owned it. Mm-hmm. What unsexy habits have you implemented that you do every day? Like checking the boards, like what?
Yeah, the load boards and getting a better understanding of it. So because a load board operates a lot like Craigslist, like they post things up, you go and bid there. You don't bid on them, but you can call them and negotiate and all that stuff. So just understanding shipping rates and what areas are hot pockets and what time of the week, and just the market is alive. Like, just the same way the real estate market goes up and down, all that stuff, the shipping market's the same. So I'm really trying to gain an understanding and a pulse on how it operates. And if I send my drivers up to North Dakota, might get really good rates, but then they got nothing coming back. So then understanding there's going to be some dead time and there's going to be empty miles. And
so is it safe to say that one unsexy habit of checking the load boards every day is like your 80%, like it might be 20% of your day, time wise? I don't know what it is, but it accounts for 80% of your revenue generating.
I'd honestly say opposite. It's probably taking 80% of my time right now, just because of the catch up factor of I'm trying to get up to speed with these things before I hire on another employee to take it over, because I want to have a full understanding of it enough to that I can teach someone how to do it. And so I can just spend 20% of the time book loads and make 80% of my revenue, but I'm spending 80% of my time booking more strategic loads to find that operational efficiency, because that's going to help me with scale. And so my goal is not to keep the truck moving, make as much money as I can this week. It's how can I build a system and a decision-making matrix. That's the biggest thing is I'm spending a lot of time in ChatGPT plugging in, okay, so this is what I found. This is the mistakes that we made, all this stuff. Help me with the decision-making matrix so that I can hand that off to a dispatcher and say, you see this load, you see this, whatever. How do you decide between the two? And so I think I'm spending more time than the revenue calls for just to build these processes.
So is your main thing right now, you're 20% learning, if you will?
Yeah, I'd say it's the education.
Number one thing. Is that you feel is helping drive revenue? Is that your unsexy thing?
Absolutely. And to take it from an average of $7,500 a month to, in my first month of ownership, over $18,000. I mean, that's just from pouring in and spending that time. So normally I don't see the results of that kind of effort that quickly, but I can see that what I'm doing is working. The systems I'm putting in place are working. And so now it's taking that, putting it into framework where I can evaluate it and see, is there any way I could be more efficient on that? Maybe it means only $16,000 in revenue, but my fuel expense is 30% lower. So I have a higher profit margin.
I guess I would put it a little different. So, which you kind of alluded to, but it's not the things that you are doing today since you bought the company. It's the things you've done in the last 2, 3, 4 years that those are the levers you're pulling right now. Like, nothing you learned today. I mean, yes, you might be pivoting and changing, but it's the work you did in private the last 2, 3, 4 years to get to this that is growing your revenue, 100 whatever %.
Well, and I'd agree with that. I think that we learned this in real estate is that, I talked before about building my 5 pillars around uh, about how to structure a lifetime of wealth. The most important one is the mindset and the education. And I think that in the beginning stages of any venture, whether it's buying a business, buying a piece of real estate, learning how to be a flipper, a wholesaler, you name it, the 80% needs to be education. And instead of like when I got into real estate, I was still in the army. I had stable income. I got paid on the 1st and the 15th every month. So I could take 2 years of just learning the industry before taking my first step. This time, I just kind of got thrown in the wilds, or in the lion's den, and had to learn by trial and error. So I'm enjoying this part of it because I see the immediate implementation of the ideas.
So as far as the implementation and stuff, do you, I guess, kind of subscribe to this theory? I've heard it a million different ways. I think my biggest pushback to it is I don't know how to quantify it. But I always say if you get 1% better each day, over the course of a year, you're 37 times better than you were at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the point of it, and mathematically. How do you quantify getting better each and every day? What, like, is that habit stacking? Is it just doing the same thing over? Because I understand doing the same thing over and over again. You'll get better at it. You go faster at it and stuff like that. But how do you, if someone's here and they're like, well, that's great, but Tanner, how do you quantify this in your life? How do you know that you're moving in the right direction? What do you think to that?
I think at this stage of my life, it's about how much time am I getting back. Like my wife and I, we understood that anytime we go into a new industry, there's going to be a ramp up period where it's going to take more of our effort relative to the dollars that it's spitting back. And we agreed that any venture that we pursue, we need to be able to fire ourselves in 6 months. And so, I think about it in every role. If my role is as a supplemental driver, I need to be able to hire on another driver within the next 6 months. If it's as a dispatcher, I need to be able to hire on a dispatcher in the next 6 months. If it's as an office admin, 6 months. So every time that I'm getting better and I'm understanding it better, then
how do you define better though?
If it takes me 8 hours to book a load for one truck, and I learn the patterns and learn when loads are coming up. I know that right now the hot times when the best loads come out are between 9 in the morning and 11 in the morning. Then I can be more efficient during those times, and it's giving me more of my time back for the rest of the day. So to answer the original question, how much of my time am I getting back by getting a better understanding and implementing systems? And that, for example, is a system of I'm at my computer from 9 to 11. I don't schedule any meetings during that time. I get all my bookings done, and then I move on to my next task for the rest of the day. And there's fires that pop up, but because I'm doing real estate and I still have the smart home installation business and I still have a trucking company, if I can gain a little bit of my time back and then eventually hire out that time period of 9 to 11 o'clock, then I gain my entire day back, and I'm only dealing with the whack-a-mole of things that pop up.
Yeah, so I've heard in multiple places, but they say spend 90 minutes a day on revenue generating activities. So if you're a real estate agent, maybe it's cold calling, whatever, doing lead gen. If it's, in the plumbing business, maybe it's coming up with a new system, a new marketing campaign, whatever it is, for your industry. But, Josh, I don't remember where I was really going with this. So,
well, thinking about the main topic is doing the boring thing long enough.
And yes, maybe that's what I was trying to. Spending that 90 minutes, it might not be sexy. Like cold calling is not fun. Like I bet you.
Anyone who says it's fun is a liar.
Yeah, I bet you can ask 100 people, and there might be one person that actually enjoys it out of 100 that do it for a day, like as a actual job.
Yeah.
But it's doing the boring thing. I watched a story, read a book, something like that. And then this guy, he had 2 jars on his desk, and he filled them with paper clips. Every time he cold called, he took one from the jar and put it in the other jar. And then he couldn't go home until all the paper clips were taken from one jar to the other. And the next day he would take it and go back. And that was kind of his KPI, if you will, of however many paper clips were in there. That's how many cold calls he made.
That's
and that
awesome.
was the whole day.
Wow.
So until his
I
business
really
kicked
like
off.
that though. I mean, because that gives you a visual feedback of the progress that you're making. So,
yeah. And so I wish I could remember. I'm pretty sure it was a book, but he's like, I didn't sell anything for 18 months or something like that. But then everything started coming.
And just on the topic of doing the boring thing long enough, you look at some of the people that are influential in our space, like Andy Frisella, Mr. Beast, what's his name, Gary Vaynerchuk. They all did the boring thing longer than they were seeing any results for. And I mean, I've heard plenty of stories about Mr. Beast where he posted for 7 years with like 100 subscribers until one of his videos started doing well. And Gary V talking about he learned through the volume. And I mean, we've talked about the example of the photography students or whatever it was, or the painting students where they had two separate groups, and one group was tasked with spending an entire semester to make the perfect picture, and the other group, they had to just do as many pictures as possible. And at the very end, they graded. The group that spent the whole time trying to make it perfect was not nearly as good as the one who just did volume and did as many as possible, because they learned through trial and error what works, what doesn't work. And so all these people doing the boring thing is they start to figure out what works. And Mr. Beast gained traction just by posting a video every single day for 7 years. And Andy Frisella talking about when he started his supplement company, he was sleeping on the floor in the office for years. And like his first year, he made like $6,000 in revenue. And then now he's got multi-million-dollar organizations like that. That is doing the boring thing long enough, far longer than it makes sense to do. And we talk about this all the time. My wife and I talk about this. There are times in real estate where it would make more sense to go work at Walmart. Walmart's paying like $16 an hour. Why wouldn't we logically do that? Because the growth in business is not on a linear growth pattern. It's exponential. And so if you pull up a picture right now of Elon Musk's net worth over the years, over his lifetime, and you can see that it starts really down low and then it spikes. That spike is exponential curve, and real estate follows the same growth pattern. Business growth, granted, business can bottom out to zero, but typically these things will not pay off for a substantial amount of time until they do, and then they expand faster than makes sense.
More of a general rule than a hard and fast rule, but I would argue if you stick to the basics in business, you won't fail. I think where you start failing is
you try to get cute with it.
You try to get cute with it.
Yeah.
You start trying to do, you get arrogant, you get cocky, and that's where businesses fail. I mean, that's just an opinion. It's not. I don't have any factual data or anything to back that up.
I think it's true. I think it's a side effect of the shiny object syndrome. Like if you are a Chinese restaurant and you're like, oh, people in town really like burgers and fries, let's do burgers and fries too. Well, you're no longer a Chinese restaurant. Now you're just a conglomerate of food. And that comes to the conversation of specializing versus generalizing. If you specialize and you stick in your specialty long enough, then it will pay off. And we found this with real estate. I started out doing single family flips and small multifamily and stuff. And I found through the 80-20 rule that 80% of my income was coming from the 20% of my time, which was commercial and larger multifamily. And so I started trimming off the stuff that, yes, brought in more income total, but relative to my time wasn't worth it. And so I started specializing in more of the commercial stuff, which is what I enjoy more. And I like the business to business transactions rather than business to consumer. So I think that specializing is a habit of its own.
Yeah. And I think using real estate as an example, you mentioned underwriting deals. I think that is the unsexy habit of real estate.
Yeah.
How many deals? Brandon Turner preaches this all the time. Like underwrite 5 deals a day. Underwrite 5 deals a day. Like single family, like it might take you the first day, you might only get through one, and it took you 2 hours.
Yeah.
and then sooner or later you're knocking out 5 of them in 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that unsexy habit that you're just getting into, 5 a day, 5 a day, 5 a day. You might do 100 underwritings
Mm-hmm.
before you find one that you want to put an offer in on.
Yeah.
And then it might take another 100 offers to get that one deal. But it's doing those unsexy things. Like I haven't underwrote a deal in God knows how long for real estate. I guess the plumbing company buying that building, but for the most part,
just a straight investment purchase.
Just Mm-hmm. I haven't done much lately, but
well, and I can attest to that because Brandon Turner used to do a weekly webinar I think it was Wednesday. He would do a webinar on for Bigger Pockets on how to use the Bigger Pockets underwriting tool. And so I subscribed. That was one of the first things I did in real estate was subscribe to the pro version. And he said underwrite 5 a day. I did 10 every single day for 2 years before I even bought a property.
But it's those unsexy things done in private.
Exactly. And that is that growth curve where I had 0 results for the effort and I was doing it every single day. And over time, I eventually could just look at a deal and I could tell you whether it would cash flow or not. Now, granted, this is when interest rates were 2.5%. So it's a little bit different now. But yeah, I think just even the change in your intuition just by doing the thing every day, like being able to look and not even know why I look at a property and I say, that one's not going to work. And like, but you haven't even underwritten it yet. Like, yeah, but I know it's not going to work. And sometimes I can't tell you why. I've just done it so much that it becomes second nature.
And I think it just popped in my head when we were talking about this, but that's what the book, The Compound Effect's all about. Mm-hmm. And that's one of my favorite books. I probably should put it on my re-listen to list here shortly. But he talks about just eating 100 calories. Like if you and I, we'll start off at 200 pounds and you eat 100 extra calories a day and I eat 100 less calories. And we just do that over time. Sooner or later, you're going to be 300 pounds and I'll be whatever, you'll be 220 and I'll be 180 to make it more realistic.
Right.
But it's those little things, and I keep saying it, that are done in private. Mm-hmm. Like these aren't, everybody wants to make the next viral Instagram video or something like that. Like, that's not what's going to get you to that next level. Mm-hmm. It's the things that you're doing in private. Like, there's nothing I can do. There's no video I can record that's going to make my plumbing company blow up.
Why is the lottery so popular?
Because it's the easy button.
Exactly. People want the easy button.
You watch movies about finding a genie in a lamp and making 3 wishes, and
because people want a shortcut. They want the instant riches.
Well, I was watching a podcast yesterday on health, and it's talking about depression, longevity in life, just happiness, all this stuff. One thing she kept saying is, like, scientifically proven, exercise is the number one thing that can help improve your life. It will, it can make you happier. Like, it's more, I think it's 3 times better than taking an SSRI for depression and stuff like that. So there's like scientific studies that have been done for this, but no one wants to go work out. Everybody just wants to go to the doctor and get a prescription. Ozempic is blowing up, but
on the Ozempic, what they're finding, and then I have no medical background at all, but just from what I've heard, is it works until you stop using it, and then you gain it all back
because you haven't changed your habits.
Yeah, and the same thing when people go in and get the stomach shrinking surgery,
gastro bypass.
Yeah, but they never change their eating habits. Like it's a temporary fix, and they want that shortcut. Like, if I just spend some money, then I get the shortcut. But that's the whole point of what Alex Ramosi was saying, is the shortcut doesn't get you there. Yeah. And what I can't remember if it was Kobe Bryant or who it was, some basketball player, but one line that just, when you're in the suck and things are hard and you have to keep doing the boring thing, he was saying, everybody wants to be famous, but nobody wants to put the work in. And that just rings in my ears all the time. It's like, Everybody wants to be rich, but no one wants to put the work in. Like,
Yeah, I'm sure we talked about this before. I'm big Kobe fan. Anyhow, he in high school when he was like, I don't know, 15 years old or something. Like they came out with the top 100 basketball players, high school basketball players. He was like number 75 or something. I don't know where he was on the list.
mm-hmm.
And he made a kill list. That's what he called it. And he put the 74 people above him, and he just started like knocking them off one by one. So he was the best high school basketball player. But it just goes like he was putting in the work. Like during the Olympics, he would drive the people out to the bar and go pick them up. But while they were at the bar or the club, he was training.
Yeah.
And so there's a reason. Like he was doing the unsexy thing in the middle of the night when everybody was at the club. He was working.
I had that conversation about basketball with my business coach this week because we hired on a coach for when we bought this business, and he loves sports analogies, which connects with me, just being an athlete growing up, and I understand doing the hard work. And one of the things that he brought up was around the metrics that you're measuring. It's like if the metrics that you're measuring aren't getting you to the desired goal, then you need to change the metrics. For example, Kobe Bryant, typically a ball hog, right? Because he was the best and no one was worthy to touch the ball. Like if you're not willing to work as hard as I am, why am I going to pass you the ball when it matters? I completely understand that. If you're not willing to outwork him, then he's not going to pass it to you. The opposite of what this is what my coach brought up was Magic Johnson. And there's a book, I can't remember the name of it right now, but he talked about when Irving Johnson became Magic Johnson. And he's talking about how he was one of the most successful basketball players. I know there's a lot of debate there. I'm not big in basketball, but
he used to be the best sport.
Well, and so what the point of it was, he was in high school or college or something like that, and he had the best game of his life. He was doing great, and then when he came off the court, it was like all the parents were avoiding eye contact with him. They were standoffish, and he didn't understand. He's like, I just played the best game of my life. And what he realized is that he outshined all of his teammates, and the parents were there to see their kids, not to see him shine. And so then he focused on changing his game to how can he pass more, set them up, draw on a double team and pass it to someone who's wide open, whatever. And then he made sure his teammates hit the open shot. And he's like, you are a professional basketball player. Like to be a professional basketball player, what is it? 50% of free throws or not free throws, 3-pointers is like the standard. He's like, but if you're wide open, it's 95%. You should not miss these really ever. And if I'm setting you up to have an open shot, you need to hit that every time. And so he built his legacy on uplifting his teammates. And now he's built his wealth on doing the same thing of building burger franchises and putting black business owners in charge. And he's created more black millionaires than any other entrepreneur because he's gotten very good at uplifting others. So, I mean, if you're looking at just basketball metrics, it's easy to see, is Kobe better than Magic? But it's the metrics that you measure it on, right? Magic Johnson measured his metrics based on how well his teammates did, whereas Kobe was, how his stats were. So I think that, and the reason I'm bringing this up is if we're talking about doing the boring thing long enough, I think you need to get very clear on which metrics you're measuring. If it's time back with your family, then the boring thing is that short periods or the spurts of efficiency. But if it's just your overall wealth, then sometimes it's, can I put 18-hour days in for years with no results? Like that, what you measure matters.
Yeah. And that's a good point. And I think this goes back to what is your life's mission? Mm-hmm. So, and all these boring habits that you need to do. Like if you want to be here for your family long term, the boring habit is waking up, going for a run, going for a hike, riding a bike, lifting weights, swimming, whatever that is. But it's doing that in order to spend more quality time with your family. And
Mhm.
I'm a big proponent of extending your health span. So how long are you healthy? Like if you're only going to be here for 80 years, but you're only healthy for the first 60, and the last 20 you're walking around with a cane and everything, and you barely get out of bed. Like that's not good. I'd rather be healthy for 79 years and 360 days, and the last 5 days are bad. So it's like, what measurements are you going off from? Like,
And
how do you do all those
Zero,
things?
Die with Zero was, I just read that recently after we talked about it a few episodes ago. That was probably my favorite premise in that whole book. Is like people work like a slave their whole life for 60, 70 years to hope that they don't outlive their money. And in their later years, they spend most of their money, most of their wealth, just trying to not die. And if you just think about that premise on its own, then what's the point? Like if you, in real estate risk or in investment risk, if I invested $100,000 into a property and at the very end had the same $100,000, I wouldn't do it. I would just take my money and put it in a savings account. So this, if that's true, why would you work for 60 years to be left with the same money that you started with? Because you're at a net zero from spending that money on trying to not die.
Yeah. And like I said, I think it just goes back to what KPIs, what key performance indicators you want for your life. Is it family? Is it business? Is it a mixture of the two? Is it, I'm not a huge fan of the book Die with Zero from standpoint of
giving all your money away.
But if that's your metric, then that's your metric. I think that giving away a fair portion of it, but continually building and giving off for generations to come is my preferred method. But to each their own.
Was it Dave Pena or Daniel Pena? He's an old guy, always wearing a three-piece suit. I can't remember, but he's much more vulgar than I'll be. But one of my favorite things from him is there's nothing noble in being poor. He's like, you want to save the rainforest? You can't do that if you have no money. He's like, so the most noble thing to do is make as much freaking money as you can, and then go out and save the rainforest, and then go out and feed the homeless.
I think it's a biblical concept. Yeah. Like, if you just read the first 3 chapters of Genesis, just pick up the Bible, read the first 3 chapters. In it, God created. He made gold, and he said gold is good. He told man to go out and work. This is probably the first 2 chapters. You don't have to get to chapter 3. You can just read the first 2.
That's the first chapter.
Well, the first chapter and the second chapter, like one's like they're a repeat of one another in 2 different story formats. Right. So I kind of put them together.
But you're right. We've talked about this before. The first thing that God did was give Adam a job.
Before the fall, before everything, he said, "Now go out and work." That was his business, was to work, whatever that consisted of. And then I think,
and then because he was lonely, God gave him a helper.
Yeah,
I think that's a topic for a whole nother podcast.
It is, but it still, I think, goes back to the fact that we're made to work. We're made to do the boring things over and over and over again, and not. God didn't say go out and find the magic lottery ticket and sit back on the beach and do nothing.
There's a treasure map. Go find the gold.
Yeah, like that's not what it was. It was go out and work, do the boring things that are required of you, and have wealth. Use that wealth to better man, better society. But yeah, that's
so in closing, what would you leave listeners with for how to identify what the boring thing is that will have the biggest impact on their success story?
I would say, well, I think everything starts off with your North Star. I've said it time and time again. So what were you aligning to? And what boring habits can you do? Like for me, it's be able to play with my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, if I'm ever blessed to have that, and to do so that like they don't have to be, I don't have to be a burden to them. I want to be able to pass on generational wealth for years. So just from those standpoints, like it's working out every day, which I'm trying to get back into. I've failed for the last year or so. But so that's a boring thing that I do every day, if you will. Working on revenue generating activities. Like I don't have to be the expert, but I need to find the experts on stuff. And how do I do that? And it's just working on myself every day. Is it reading a book? Is it all those little things? So I have a few different habits that I do each and every day that, I try to do each and every day. Let's put it that way. That does kind of kickstart my generational growth, if you will.
Well, and I think the most important thing that you just said is the North Star. Is in order to know what steps you should be taking, you need to know where you want to go.
It goes back to Alice in Wonderland. So she fell down the hole and she's wandering around and she asked the Cheshire Cat or whatever it is, like, well, how do I get there? And she's like, well, where are you trying to go? I'm like, well, I don't really care. And then the cat says, it doesn't matter where you're going, any road will lead there. Unless you know where you're going, it doesn't matter.
And when you identify that, it's creating the daily habit of what gets me closer to that every single day. And if it is your health, and I don't think that your health is a destination either. I think that it's more of a concept of I want to live a healthy life. Well, do things every day that help you lead a healthier life.
So on that, I guess I'll end in this one question I wrote down. What's the one boring action that you can commit to this week because it builds the life that you say that you want? So it doesn't have to be just a question to ponder, rhetorical question. There you go. What's the one boring action you can commit to this week that will give you the life that you say that you want? So
I kind of want to hear this in the comments.
On that, let's go build a life you say you want.
All right.